Hey, what is up everybody, Blades for here, and today I have for you another video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video, guys, we're going to be going over the two most pivotal units that you guys have to look out for their reruns here. These two you guys already see on the dang thumbnail, and that's going to be Chord and Makoto. I'm going to be going over exactly why these guys are very pivotal for those who are a little bit new to the game here, and some of you guys who ain't new, I'm pretty sure you know exactly why, but you can stick around for the video anyways. I have to freaking say, first of all, before we get straight into it, thank you guys a lot for all the support. Y'all have been doing amazing. I was trying to hit a goal of 3.5k and eventually hit 4k, and we're almost at that 3.5k mark already. The last time I asked was about like 4 videos ago or 5 videos ago, and y'all have been just blowing it out the water with that. Thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for liking the videos. It helps us out quite a lot here. As always, keep doing that, and heck, we're gonna be having that giveaway very soon at the rate that we're going. So thank you guys a lot for that. Appreciate it. Let's get straight into it now. So when it does come down to these two characters here, these two characters without a doubt are some pivotal units. I can't lie to you. Makoto and Chord quite literally are the two units that shook up freaking P5X a whole bunch, and that's mainly because not only do we get pretty much the best DPS in the game, but we also got the best supporter in the game. Both of these two characters are so pivotal in this game that it's actually insane. Like, you're gonna use them normally in any team that's gonna be a staple. For example, Makoto's nuke team is kind of a staple team if you wanted to just straight up clear something. Luckily, now the meta for at least our team has in SOS has kind of backed away a little bit. Eventually, who knows, it might come back, but for the most part, you can use her team for any type of clearing. So story clearing, anything that kind of is a boss that is a single target boss that you can just melt, she can do that. Anything that is actually single target, she's going to be utterly destroying, especially if you had one dupe and her weapon at that. Unfortunately, my behind didn't even get her weapon or her first A1 because I was being stubborn, and yeah, I kind of regret it, but at the same time, she's freaking OP. She's amazing. Even at A0, no freaking weapon, she does the job and she melts whatever's in front of her. Chord is kind of in that same boat, but for a supporter line. Chord quite literally in any freaking team except for like boxes mainly. I think it's like boxes and somewhat size team, because Psy doesn't have a full like reset type deal, but boxes and size team is like kind of the only two teams that she really doesn't really fit in too much, and that's perfectly fine. Every other team, this character quite literally fits in quite easily and excels the most as a slot. She's a best in slot for pretty much any team. You name it, she can pretty much be there. And the main reasoning for this is gonna go into her kit. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna break down her stuff first, and then we're gonna go back to Makoto and break her down, of course. Well, wait, pause. We're gonna break down her kit first, and then we're gonna see exactly how that goes. And then afterwards, we're just gonna mainly go over when these are expected to actually come back out, because these reruns are way closer than you think. So when it comes down to the Chord side of things, Chord is one of the few characters that can actually invest into our highlight gauge, which allows us to just straight up spam our ultimates. If you guys literally do not know what those are, as I did say, it allows you to spam your ultimates whenever you're in the battle. Quite literally, it's the little star at the bottom right and gives you your highlight, which allows you to do these huge moves here that on your character that deals some decent freaking damage. Depending on the character, heck, they can deal some monstrous damage. I'm looking at you first of all, but she's really freaking busted. She's one of the few supporters that came out, and unfortunately it was crazy timed, because at the time that she dropped, it was right after Makoto dropped, so a lot of people was kind of drained on these gems here, and this banger of a unit dropped, and holy crap, it shook everything upside down. If you guys don't know exactly what the heck this woman does, allow me to actually enlighten you for a second, because holy moly, she is a unit that I didn't think should be this broken. if I'm keeping it real with you, I don't think that she should have been like crazy busted that she is, but she's really freaking busted. So for this character herself, she goes with a couple skills that actually are useful, and that's going to be her second skill and her third skill. Heck, even some of her passive, to be honest, for just keeping it real with you. With her second skill, which is this one right here, this one's actually fairly important with her whole entire kit to actually apply the third skill for the most part. It's called an improvised solo here, and pretty much what this one does, it allows you to increase at least one enemy's actual attack to a certain amount, and which can go to a certain maximum depending on how much attack she actually has on her, and this actually stays on you for 3 whole turns. Now this is an important factor because with this skill you also put on something called like a buff that's called Loyal Listener, if I remember what it was called. I think it was Loyal Listener for the most part, and this here allows you so you can immediately use that skill 3. Now her skill 3 you do need prerequisites for, which is the whole reason to use skill 2 first, right? With this in mind, this skill 3 then allows you to actually utilize its buff. This here instantaneously, when she uses this, she can make the ally of any of them, technically any of them, but you always want to use the Loyal Listener one because you're getting that extra attack here. You're able to use any of their highlights immediately, and it does not count to the actual highlight cooldown. So the little star at the bottom right, even though that is not filled, or even if it is filled, right, she's able to use her skill 3, instantaneously use that highlight, and let's say that star is filled, that star is still going to be filled. So then you can use another highlight and you can spam it again, and that makes this absolutely insanity. It's just insane because we have a crazy buffer, which Loyal Listener is giving us that nice old attack buff. Then of course, if you actually utilize that attack buff to your best potential and then use her skill 3 to actually proc off her little highlight boost immediately, or the immediate highlight usage, she just becomes absolutely insane and utterly just a nightmare for the enemies, to be honest, because afterwards, most likely if you're using your highlight again, it is going to be on a teammate that is just going to be curb stomping them half the time. And that's not even all that's good with this entire character. We still have her own highlight, which is actually very helpful as well. Her highlight allows all allies in general, pretty much every last ally, with a maximum, if you have no dupes here, because I have no dupes as well, I only have her weapon, to get a 45.5% damage boost. This is insane. And not only that, they also do recover 10% of their own highlight energy, which is always nice. This is something that I really enjoy with this character and really makes her shine. This is just from her highlight itself, and you're going to be using this highlight as well. It makes sure that everything in her kit is somewhat useful. The only thing I guess who can say isn't too useful, I guess, is her first skill, but like even then everything's pretty darn useful with this dang character, and boy oh boy does she make it known. Even coming down to her passives here, her passives actually allow you to not only get attack, I think off the first one here based on the Loyal Listener here, but it also has her second one, which allows you to kind of boost that highlight a little bit. But not only that, it kind of helps you with living, because the actual second one, if I remember correctly, this one actually boosts our HP a certain amount. I think it was the lowest HP, she actually is able to increase a little bit based on her attack, if I remember this correctly. This one here is actually really good, especially for sustainability wise. If you're really trying to keep that character who's taking a little bit too much damage, she's able to get their health back up, so that's always nice to have. Makes her very helpful, a good all-rounding type support, and boy is she just busted. Now when it does come down to at least her weapon's pretty darn busted as well, and you will want to get this, which is the reason why I'm making this video for the most part. Is hey, with these reruns around the corner, you want to make sure you have enough to not only get this character but get that weapon. Her weapon here is actually what makes her even more so busted, and it's one of the few characters that you don't have to have the 5-star weapon, but you might want to get this one just because off of the way you're able to actually start with highlight energy. Everything else with this weapon is pretty decent. Like of course you get the normal like attack boost here, you get some actual buffs based on her kit with Loyal Listener and using highlights, but the main thing that you really want from this actual weapon is the whole part of starting the battle with get a certain amount of highlight energy. That's the best reason that you want this weapon. That's the main reason you want this weapon, and a lot of you guys are going to want to actually invest for this said character. Now that we've broke down this character for the most part into our best capabilities, in which I'll eventually do like a guide update on these characters. Of course, if there anything changes in the future when they do their reruns, I'll have a build guide update for that, so I'll save that for later. But we're gonna go ahead and go over Makoto. Now we have the supporter out of the way. Now here is the damage queen herself, or at least the damage queen until, let's hopefully say that she stays the damage queen until stinking Haru drops, because yeah, I don't know, Haru looking kind of busty right now. But we have queen. Now Makoto here is absolutely insane. She's one of the few characters that I still don't have perfect freaking rolls on, which would really tick me off, but she is actually really good. She's an insane freaking DPS. And although she can't be paired with every team, she can be paired decently with her own teams here that actually do come in handy quite a lot, being the nuke team. You might can fit her onto maybe I guess you could say the kind of a newer team based on Futaba to an extent, but I mean, like, mainly you're gonna have her on a nuke team with most likely a healer being Marion, because Marion's helping out her attack, and that's gonna be how you really want to go about it. This character herself was, I think, the first character to bring in the whole flip-flopping of forms here, where if you use her skill 2, eventually the next round, or like the next round in general, she will get this little mask that's beside her and allows her to change forms. This form actually allows her moves to be way stronger and more of that such a thing here. So she then swaps, it's like from a tenacity to iron will. Once she gets that iron will, she just becomes him. Literally, her attack goes up by, like, if I'm right, 40%. Her defense is very higher by 20, or like I think it was 20 or 25%, and it just makes her absolutely a god at DPS. This character moved everybody. Like, first of all, everyone was summoning because it's queen. Why not? She's a freaking fan favorite at this point. Why not summon for the character? But boy, she made ripples compared to how she was in the beta. This immediately made people summon in quite a lot, and she just threw things together that was crazy. Her main people, when it comes down to at least her team that she really is going to be utilizing and that you guys really want to invest in if you have not done so, is going to have at least Vino, which is the 4-star here. This one's very easy to invest up. She's actually really good as well. Helps with defense shred and things of that nature. And then of course, if you guys do have her, definitely try to use Marion. Marion's going to be helpful because she's giving out that nice old attack, and this team is a little flimsy at times, so having that extra HP is always nice to at least heal up on and things of that nature. And then seeing this pretty much a mono nuke team, you really want to try to utilize Phoebe to the best of her potential, because then she's actually able to help out the entire team itself here, giving you those nice little buffs and actually monopolizing on having that main team. Of course, you could very well try using, I think it was using Okeon for the most part. That's because she gives off a good old attack buff here. But if I'm right now, we could possibly use Rico over Okeon when it comes down to this team, but I do have to make sure I want to get that actually set in stone, because I kind of flop between the two, one either for damage bonus or one for attacking. But all in all, this character here is absolutely broken. She's crazy good. I think she's still the #1 DPS in the game, and the reasoning why is because this happy little freaking move here. Of course, her skill 1, it's you ain't really gonna use it too much. Skill 2, you better not be using this. As much as I want to have my completionist mode and just get it to level 8 at least, I'm probably going to do so anyways, but my sanity right now is saying don't do it. It comes down to mainly her ultimate and this skill 3 here. This skill 3, let me tell you something about this bad boy. This skill 3 actually allows you to deal so much damage, it's insane. Pretty much based on actually having what's it called, having certain amount of attack and elements on the enemy based on the elemental debuffs that you're going to be placing on the enemy, whether it's from her, it's from Vino. Based on these, she's actually able to deal additional damage based on how many of these are on the enemy. So you always want to have her with, of course, a person who can debuff a lot of folks here, right? and she's able to get additional nuke damage based with this as well, depending if she is inside of the fusion overload form, which actually allows her to have a certain cap based on the instances of damage that she's able to do. This here is actually busted. This is one of the few moves here that no matter what, you shouldn't be using the AoE move with her. You shouldn't be using no healing move with her. This should be the only move, even though it's single target, that you want to utilize. The only downside with her is the fact that she's meant only for single target bosses instead of AoE things. So things with multiple hit markers is going to be a little bit harder to take out. But with this actually in mind, things with just one hit marker that need to be hit once, she's most likely melting them to death, because once you swap over to Iron Will, which gives you that 40% attack increase and helps you out in the fusion overload section, you're freaking god tier, because instead of having that nuclear boost, which is what she normally has, her regular old damage, which I think for nuke damage it should be like 210, yeah, 210.6% for damage, she then changes that to 243.6% immediately. And this allows just the most insane type busted damage that you're going to get off that stinking skill 3. This also comes into play with the ultimate. The ultimate itself helps out with the heat slash nuke damage here, and it does not have a small amount of freaking percentage either. It has nearly 400% damage of nuke damage on one enemy. Lord forbid you actually have any elemental elements on that freaking enemy, because if they do, they're probably getting nuked, because every last heat that you have, any element that you have on them is going to actually get them murked, especially if they have a wind element on them, allowing their defense to actually be decreased by 20%. They're going to die. If you have at least the heats that are on you here, that is 20% extra damage increase as well, and it is not going to be freaking nice when you hit them hard. They are going to fall. This also comes into play when it comes down to at least her two passives here. Her first passive and her second passive are both pretty darn decent. Her first passive, no matter what, is god tier, because it gives you a 15% attack buff based on every element that you do have. And then her second passive here is when she is at the start of the battle, you get damage reduction, right? But when she does gain that Iron Will, which is the whole thing that we're going to swap from, which is tenacity and Iron Will, when she gains this, her damage reduction is now increased by an additional 6% up to 18%, which is actually kind of insane, because now she doesn't only got that freaking crazy DPS, but she's able to tank as well a little bit too, and she will not die, and that will actually make you very much so unstoppable. Now, where things come into play with her is, I hate to say it, I wouldn't say you need the weapon, but boy oh boy does it make a huge difference. I currently have a 4-star weapon, and it is helpful. It is very helpful. So much gives me at least a 24% attack increase, and helps me with the tenacities, right, that we do need. The only problem with this, right, the weapon that actually you want to have, aka the 5-star weapon, that bad boy pretty much times 2 her damage. I can probably hit like 200k, maybe 300k, like 300k once in a while. My normal is like 120 to 200k, right? Maybe a little higher than that when it comes down to ult damage. If I can do that with this weapon, the 5-star weapon absolutely is insane, and when she comes back around, I'm definitely getting it, because the 5-star weapon not only helps out her attack more by 6%, because it's a base of 30%, but it also helps out her nuclear damage. So now your nuclear damage is also being multiplied a little bit more by a base of 24.2%. This is already freaking busted, but what makes it even more disgusting is when you're actually able to have an element debuff on them. Once again, the elements, if you're actually able to get that, you get 1 heat energy, and when you actually go into this Iron Will, not only do you use all the heat energies that we were talking about earlier, but you're able to increase the nuclear damage even further based on your next skill you're going to use, which is going to be that 3rd skill. So the DPS that you were doing on your 3rd skill without the 4-star weapon, which is really good, and I do some really good damage with that, yeah, times that by 2, and she's just not comparable with a lot of the characters that are currently out right now. I hate to admit it, Closer, like, I think literally the only other character that is out here who's kind of competing a little bit in number wise is Mesa, and that's mainly because Mesa has some deadly freaking bleeds, but that's about it when it does come down to that. Other than this character here, after just breaking down this, is absolutely insane. When it comes out to when they actually do drop here, we should be seeing Makoto sooner than at least Makoto sooner than Chord. Reason being is because we have Yusuke. After Yusuke came out Makoto. Now Yusuke should be getting reran on CN one more week, which is going to be with Haru, or at least 2 more weeks with Haru here. After that, we're going to get Haru, meaning Yusuke is going to be ran for 2 weeks for us, or at least we're going to get Haru once they're done with her, right? So at the end of their 2 weeks, their next character is going to drop. Then it should be a new rerun starting point. Most likely should be a new rerun starting point, unless I'm getting my months kind of mixed up, because usually each of these banners lasts a month. So 2 weeks, then they reset again, another 2 weeks, then finally a rerun gets kind of postponed until off that point right then, right? So at that just sense of time, she should be out after this next update on CN. So pretty much Haru's gonna come out, those 2 weeks are gonna go by, then she should be dropping, because Yusuke is gonna go bye-bye and she should be coming out onto the platform, meaning it's gonna take another month after she's been out for a month to actually come out on CN with Chord. Chord is going to be very, very interesting, and holy crap, that's going to be a whole thing that I'm waiting for. Now, if you're on TW in Taiwan, pretty much extend that a little bit longer by like an extra week. It's going to be an extra week waiting time for us, because of course usually we're a week late compared to at least the other versions, so you got to keep that in mind and actually add up that time as well. So once again, we won't get this character, or at least CN won't get this character till after Haru drops in 2 more weeks our edition. So just think of that, 2 weeks go by after Haru drops, next rerun is going to be her. After she gets here, day 1 of her being here is going to take a whole nother month till Chord drops. This is all for CN, so just add on to that time, and boy oh boy is it gonna be freaking crazy. But those characters you really want to invest in, those 2 without a doubt you guys are going to enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. For the most part, this was a major breakdown. For the most part, I might start doing these for like all characters in the future that are like must invest, maybe for my global and JP audience, in which all characters, at the end of the day, guys, hear me out, because I know some people are gonna be like, there's no such thing as must invest. There is no such thing as must invest. It's whatever you technically want to get, but based on at least how the characters do perform, how they're used a lot, how they're crazy insane, there are characters that do shine above some of the rest. And the only reason why I chose Makoto here is because she quite literally is the best character for damage in the at least this single target side of things. You're gonna want to have the character without a doubt, and you're gonna want to actually prepare for her. Chord is the same way. You're gonna want to have this supporter. You're gonna want to prepare for her, because she's freaking cracked. She's literally in every last team. You can't deny the facts, my guys. So without further ado, you guys, hope you guys enjoyed it, and peace out.